Hello, this is Mark, and this is my recollection of a game that just ended called Crowds in 2020, a diplomacy game, and diplomacy is a game I love pretty much. I'm actually a niche game lover, if you can say so. So I'm basically a player of games that not many people play, and that's just a coincidence. But like 3 years ago, I discovered in rapid succession some games which share a lot in common. One of which is diplomacy. And I thought, before I make my actual AAR, my recollection of the game year by year, because I'm too loquacious to synthesize all the game in one short video, I would talk a bit about myself and why I'm doing this, and also the format that I'm choosing. So basically, as I said, there are three games which I'm currently very passionate about, which are Throne of Lies, the online game of deceit, Dungeons and Dragons, the fantasy role-play game, and Diplomacy, which is known for as the game who ruins friendship, but I don't really see it that way. And I would like to specify I'm not an expert in any of these games. I'm just a player who likes them very much. If you want to see a high-level game played by high-level players which know what they're doing, I would highly recommend some other channels like Florida Man Diplomacy is one of the top players on the Play Diplomacy site, and I love his channel and probably his number one fan. Brotherboard, he has recently opened a channel on YouTube and he has an amazing series on the Media Wars game they played. And also, the Diplomacy Broadcast Network, Dipnostrats, Legendary Tactics, and so on. This is mostly a game played by low-level or intermediate level players, such as myself, completely random. Some players miss turns, it happens. It was just a very, very funny game and interesting game, and I played really, really well, if I do say so myself. And I don't want to forget this game, so I'm making these videos mostly for myself, but also for you if you want to watch them. I'm really glad I could entertain you, because I'm really glad when, like Florida Man publishes a new video about diplomacy, so more content equals more fun for diplomacy aficionados. So I would specify this. This is not a video, a guide on how to play well at diplomacy, because I need that guide myself. I can't make that guide, and also because I don't have the experience. Second, I would like to apologize for my accent, for my terrible, terrible accent, so thick. I hope my voice is, what I'm saying is comprehensible to you, and I'm not stuttering too much, because as you can listen, as you can hear, sorry, I'm Italian. And, I'm not used to speaking out loud in English. I'm very used to writing in English, and I think that when I write in English, people don't recognize that English is a second language to me. I don't have really any occasion in my life, in my day-to-day life, to speak English like this, like I'm doing this. So, now I have this opportunity making this video to exercise a little bit. I won't lie, this is my first try making this video. I'm recording for the second time. The first time my opinion stammered and stopped too much. So I hope this comes better. So bear with me, I hope, and I hope you can understand me. And sorry again for my terrible, terrible accent. But, if I made this video in Italian, it would receive zero recognition, zero views, because there are literally maybe a dozen Italian players of diplomacy in the world, and also of the other games I talked about. Yeah, and you could have said that Dungeons and Dragons is not really a niche game. It's very well known in the world, but it is niche in Italy. There are very, very few people in Italy which play any of these games I mentioned, like Diplomacy. I literally know only one player, Italian player of Diplomacy, but maybe there are more, probably. But, it's a game which is well known mostly abroad, and yeah, Diplomacy is pretty niche in it of itself. So yeah, I'm making this video in English, so it's accessible to more Diplomacy players, I hope. Another thing I would like to talk about is why I love Diplomacy. Diplomacy is mostly a strategy game like Risk, with the same objective, which is to conquer Europe, conquer a territory with your armies and your fleets and so on. So it's pretty Risk-like. It's a Risk-type game. But I know you Diplomacy fans are screaming at me. I will say that Risk is pretty much ruined after you've played Diplomacy a couple of times, because you can't play Risk anymore. After that, it's just on a whole another level. It's the best board game ever created. So let's not talk about Risk. Let's talk about chess. Chess is another game which is very much like Diplomacy. Diplomacy is really a mixture of some characteristic of any strategy war game like Risk and chess. It shares the objective of Risk, which is conquer territories, and the nuance of chess with tactics and mathematical superiority and logic, with not much space for random chance. That's the beauty of Diplomacy. There are no dice, no cards. Why am I talking about this? You probably are already familiar with the game. If you're not, I'm not gonna explain the rules of the game. I'm not the best person to do it. There are a lot of other channels which can hook you to Diplomacy. Florida Man Diplomacy, as I said, has made a video about the rules of Diplomacy. Go check that out. And I personally discovered Diplomacy thanks to another channel, which is Matt Conglin. Matt Conglin is mostly a D&D channel, but he made a video about Diplomacy and the similarity between the games, and he talks about Realpolitik. This game is not the best game to explain to a newbie how Diplomacy works, but it's the best game to hook you, because it talks about the spirit of the game and the reason why we play it, which is to play Realpolitik and just fight with other people, forge alliance, and forget about other reason to make war, except to gain power. That's the objective of a real politician. So this is why I love Diplomacy, more or less. And now let's talk about this game I just played, just finished. It was, in my opinion, my best game for how I played, and also because of just how intricate and interesting and funny it was, with all the dynamics that formed. And stay tuned if we want to see more of that. But basically, as you can see on this map, it was not a classical game. This game was called Crowds in 2020. I created it and publicized it on the subreddit of Diplomacy, and when 11 players joined, we started. It's a variant of Diplomacy with one major difference, which is that there are 4 more players on the map, which are Norway, also called Scandinavia. This game was played on V-Diplomacy, which is a site in which this power is called Norway instead of Scandinavia. It's the same, basically. This power is Lowland, this power is Spain or Iberia, and this power is Balkan. If you've ever played Diplomacy before, you know that these 4 powers normally are constituted of neutral centers that other players, which are the other 7 nations on the map, contend with each other over the control of those centers. So basically, that's the main difference. And of course, this difference brings another main, very important difference, which is a difference that is located here in this center, which is Ruhr, which is not a supply center in a normal game of Diplomacy. but it's made a supply center in a classic crowded game to give this player Nolan's 3 starting centers. This means that if you know something about stalemate lines, and I repeat, I'm not really an expert, so I only read a little bit about stalemate lines, and I'm capable of seeing them and forming them, and but not that much, and I have so little experience. I don't want to even talk about them, just a little bit, just to say that if there is a main stalemate line that divides the map into the northern half and the southern half, and this main stalemate line should divide the map into 17 centers in each half. But in this variant, since Ruhr is a center, and there are 35 centers and not 34 like normal, there are 18 centers north of the stalemate lines. And this means that a northern power can potentially solo or win without crossing the main stalemate line, which is the real challenge in the end game or in the middle game. And that's I think that Russia pointed out during the playing of this game, and we'll get there on the video of that year. And he said that this map is basically lopsided in favor of the north or the west, and is mostly right, but in my opinion, the fact that there is another center in the north is counterbalanced by the fact that a northern power has to face off a lot more foes, because England, France, and Germany have to face with also Norway, Poland, and Spain, which is kind of like Russia, because Spain has a southern center and two northern ones. But in my opinion, and in this game it surely went that way, Spain is mostly projected towards the north. And that's why I don't think this is that big of a deal. It's certainly it bears some measure of unbalance in the game, but not that much. In fact, in a classic crowded game, the Balkan is statistically the most powerful, the most frequent winner of the game. So doesn't seem to matter that much, but it mattered in this game, and Russia was right. But seeing that and seeing as I was selected to play as England or Great Britain, my plan was to exploit this feature of the map and to conquer the northern half of the map without ever having to cross the stalemate line and take Tunis or Moscow. Basically, I just wanted the northern half and to win with the 18th center. So that was my plan. Of course, the feeling I had in the beginning was to be surrounded by all these other powers. Particularly Norway scares me because he has 2 fleets bordering the North Sea, which is a crucial center for England. And he can stop me from taking it. Normally, no one can stop England from taking the North Sea in 1901. So that were basically my first impressions of the game when the game started and I discovered to be England. So just another thing I would like to add, that's why would you watch a series of videos made by not that good of a player in a not high level game when you can watch Florida Man, and by the way, watch his videos anyway. I know I'm naming him so much, but he makes very top-notch diplomacy AARs. The difference between these videos and the more serious videos you can see on YouTube about diplomacy is mainly that because I can't bring you that experience, that deep explanation about my moves and about the board that some other YouTuber, some other diplomacy player can, I will counterbalance that with some memes, because in my opinion, diplomacy is a very memeable game, and it's pretty wasted that there aren't that many players, and the player base is age-wise pretty it's older than me mostly, I think. So I made a lot of memes, some during the game, some after, and I will color this game with the memes because there were 11 players, so a lot of interactions. It was a very funny game. So we will mock ourselves and the other players amicably during this commentary I will make, and I hope you will stay tuned and you will watch them. So see you next time.